if your interview is scheduled in the initial days, मतलब initial 5 to 7 days के आसपास में है, so you can expect more questions from economics. Direct questions will be there, very simple questions will be there. Either they will ask from DAF, अगर current से पूछेंगे so economics का weightage initial days में ज़्यादा रहता है. They used to ask very simple questions from economics in the initial days. So suppose in the handouts we have given you the questions which they have already asked. For example, what is the state of economy? Why is there a slowdown in the economy? We have a goal of $5 trillion economy. Is it realistic or not? Especially after COVID. Then we have what other initiatives do you think will help India achieve $5 trillion economy? What factors are responsible for increasing the growth rate of the economy, etc. and all. So I want you to go through all these questions. First, we will discuss major dimensions of these questions. Then we'll go to the expected questions and the analytical questions from these topics. So just go through these. Base year means last year only. In comparison to 2021. In 21-22, our growth rate will be 11.5 is what the economic survey is saying. 12% is the IMF or World Bank is saying. What the same here? No, that base year is different. मतलब वो तो हमने एक बार base GDP, because that base year is actually used to find out the consumption basket. We know na ki GDP is nothing but the money value of all the goods and services produced. So which all goods and services we need to consider? Do we consider this chair also, or we consider only this camera? So first we have to fix a basket. Once this basket is fixed, then we will compare this price of all these items with the 2021-22. So GDP jo growth rate they are saying, GDP growth rate is always compared with last year. तो दैट डिपेंड्स, इन्फ्लेशन भी तो है ना. तो उस इन्फ्लेशन को हटाओगे तो बेस ईयर का कंसेप्ट आएगा. तो दैट वी डोंट नो. इन्फ्लेशन मोटा मोटी 5-6% के आसपास में होगा, सो इफेक्टिव हो जाएगा 6-7% के आसपास में. इसलिए क्वेश्चंस विल बी मोर टुवर्ड्स वी शेप इकोनॉमी होगा नहीं होगा. डू यू रियली थिंक कि वी शेप इकोनॉमी इंडिया सस्टेन कर सकता है? कोविड लॉकडाउन हुआ नहीं हुआ, उस तरीके के क्वेश्चंस एक्सपेक्टेड हैं. बट प्रीवियस ईयर में ये पूछा हुआ इसलिए हमने लिस्ट दे दिया बस. सो यू कैन गो थ्रू ऑल दीज 24-25 क्वेश्चंस. Then we will discuss what I want to cover in general state of economy, and then I'll cover your doubts. So उसको जल्दी जल्दी पढ़ लेते हैं. नहीं. Before COVID also there was a slowdown, ना. We'll discuss. I'll cover in the class that what were the reasons. Demand side था, supply side था. देखो, for majority, sorry to interrupt you in between, but majority of the knowledge of a candidate who is giving interview is same. What matters is which words you are choosing. So knowledge तो same रहेगा. इसीलिए इस economics के words आपको कुछ cram करने पड़ेंगे. Words cram करेंगे, फिर mirror reading करेंगे. फिर वर्ड्स क्रैम करेंगे, फिर मिरर रीडिंग करेंगे. So if you will go through the videos or sessions of these previous year toppers which we conducted, Saloni, DM, etc. and all, so you will see कि क्रैम करना पड़ेगा. अभी ऐसा नहीं है कि जनरल लेमन टर्म्स में हम इंटरव्यू दे देंगे, वो नहीं चलेगा. So you have to cram few keywords which we have to use in the exam. ठीक है, पढ़ो. Online students also, if you have any doubts, you can just chat. I'll take these doubts in the class. बंद करना है। सबका एक ही इनका वो है। हम्म। हाँ। देखो यार, नहीं नहीं, कोविड नहीं होगा इसमें ना। वो हो सकता है फॉरेस्ट सर्विसेज वालों को वो बीच में अकोमोडेट कर रहे हो। सो यूजली 7 पैनल्स होते हैं, तो हो सकता है पैनल उन्होंने 4 कर दिया और 3 से फॉरेस्ट सर्विसेज निपटा रहे हैं। दैट इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी। कितने दिन होता है? फुल होता है तो करीब करीब 500 बच्चे बुलाते हैं वो मैक्सिमम, जिसमें से जाते हैं नहीं। 70 सीट्स है, 80 सीट्स है, तो 3 टाइम्स बुला लो बस मैक्सिमम, तो 250 बुला लेंगे वो। बट यूजली सब जाते नहीं है फॉरेस्ट वाले में, तो इसलिए वो 3 टाइम्स, 3.2 3.3 टाइम्स भी बुला लेते हैं। इसलिए मेरे मतलब अकॉर्डिंग टू माई कॉमन सेंस इट्स लाइक कि 4 विल टेक CSC एंड 2 और 3 विल टेक फॉरेस्ट सर्विसेज इनिशियली। ये रीजन हो सकता है, कोविड का कोई रीजन नहीं है। लास्ट ईयर जब फुल फ्लेज्ड कोविड था तब भी दे टुक लॉट ऑफ इंटरव्यूज पर डे, so वो रीजन तो नहीं होगा। एनीवेज, हो गया फिनिश। देखो, लेट्स स्टार्ट फ्रॉम व्हेन दे विल आस्क यू दी जेनरिक क्वेश्चंस। फॉर एग्जांपल, व्हाट आर द मेजर प्रॉब्लम्स व्हिच इंडियन इकोनॉमी इज फेसिंग? How we can make India a $5 trillion economy? Do you think there is a slowdown? What are the reasons of the slowdown? Is there a recession in the economy? What will be the impact of COVID on the Indian economy? What do you understand by state of economy? ये जितने भी क्वेश्चंस होते हैं उस सबके डायमेंशन सेम ही होते हैं। ये मेंस में भी अपन ने पढ़ा था that whenever we are going to face a problem, macroeconomic indicators. So कोई भी 10 इंडिकेटर we have to cram. So how India can recover again? सेम ही है, वही एक्सपोर्ट्स इंक्रीज करेंगे, FDI FII इंक्रीज करेगा, वी शेप कर्व होगा तो GDP ग्रोथ रेट इंक्रीज होगा, बैंक रिकैपिटलाइज करेंगे सो बैंक क्रेडिट इंक्रीज होगा। सो दीज पैरामीटर्स दे रिमेन सेम। सो वो 10 पैरामीटर अपन क्रैम कर लेते हैं। इन एनी सच क्वेश्चंस वी आर गोइंग टू शूट द सेम आंसर। लिखो, फर्स्ट वन इज GDP of the country, then divided into sectoral GDPs. GDP of एग्रीकल्चर बढ़ाएंगे अपन, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग बढ़ाना है, in general GDP, then further divided this GDP into 3 parts. Agriculture, within agriculture you can go for livestock, horticulture को improve करना है, etc and all. Then we have manufacturing. Within manufacturing MSMEs को improve करना है और informal sector को improve करना है, और या फिर unorganized को organized में convert करना है. Then सर्विसेज में लेस स्किल्ड लेबर फोर्स को इनकॉर्पोरेट करना है, लेस स्किल्ड टू इनकॉर्पोरेट दिस. So this is one thing related to the GDP. Then second we can talk about the finances. So finances में NBFCs को improve करेंगे, बैंक्स को कंसोलिडेट करेंगे, पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट को इंक्रीज करेंगे, सो दैट पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट कैन क्राउड इन द प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट. सो एक डायमेंशन गवर्नमेंट फाइनेंसेस का हो जाएगा. फिर उसी में गवर्नमेंट की रैशनलाइजेशन ऑफ सब्सिडीज हो जाएगा, दैट व्हेन गवर्नमेंट इज स्पेंडिंग शुड स्पेंड इन द प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर, सो दैट इज रैशनलाइजेशन ऑफ द सब्सिडीज. फाइनेंसेस से रिलेटेड ही सेविंग्स को इंक्रीज करेंगे, सेविंग्स को इंक्रीज करेंगे. फिर बीओपी में आ जाते हैं, एफडीआई एफआईआई को इंप्रूव करेंगे. जस्ट 1 सेकेंड, आई टेक 100% इन इंग्लिश. सो विल विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द बीओपी वी विल इंक्रीज एफडीआई एंड एफआईआई. You know, in 2021 our FDI was more than 1920. All this, when they are going to say na that why do you think that India will have a V-shaped recovery, that how India has overcome COVID, or why that stringent lockdown was good for the economy. Let's make it a red line that we are going to say that stringent lockdown was necessary. India took a conscious decision, a humane decision. We are going to discuss all these things. That we give more priority to life in comparison to the livelihood. So we have to substantiate our fact. How by giving more focus to the life, now we have an opportunity to go with the V-shaped curve. So in which we are going to say all this thing has increased. So in the BOP, first we have is FDI or FII. Second, exports increase. Increase in exports. And third, after so many years, after 17 years, now we are at current account surplus. We have a current account surplus after 17 years. Plus, within the exports, they can ask you a question that in which all items our exports has increased. So, pharmaceutical is one thing. Second is IT, software and all. Also, with respect to the remittances. Now, after so many years, our remittances will decrease. After almost 17-18 years, our remittances will decrease. Last year, that is in 1920, the remittances were 83 exacta, 80 plus billion dollars. Now it is going to decrease to $75 billion. So this is again happening after many decades. So these things we can mention in the BOP. Next, we can mention something with respect to the government fiscal related things. Tax to GDP increase hoga. Fiscal consolidation or fiscal trends we can write. Fiscal trends in which fiscal deficit can be one. Tax revenue can be second. Yeah, one more factor we can mention is the, not in the fiscal but otherwise, labor. Now with respect to labor forces, so this is an example of the structural reforms taken by the government. So unemployment, labor, formal employment, share of women, etc. And what is the labor force participation of women? That was long back. That was again long back. In urban areas, it is 8%. At present, labor force participation of women in urban areas is only 8 to 9%. Overall, it is 16-17% के आसपास में right now, but it is 8 to 9% only right now. So you can expect more questions. Questions will not be factual. The questions will be like how we can increase labor force participation of women in rural areas, in urban areas, overall, etc. That we will discuss in the labor wala part. So this is what any question related to all those dimensions which we discussed. First, we need to understand that these are the macroeconomic indicators that we have. On the basis of these macroeconomic indicators, we'll give the reply. We choose only 5 or 6 points and then we'll reply on the basis of that. What are the problems which Indian economy is facing? So from this particular diagram, you can copy paste 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In labor, we are facing a problem. In capital, we are facing a problem. In entrepreneurship, we are facing a problem. Global uncertainty is also a major problem. Pre-COVID also, now also. Then we have the temporary shocks, including COVID, various reforms, etc. and all. Then we have investment slowdown, sector-specific stress areas we have. Then we have problems in the land sector, regulatory cholesterol, etc. So these are the various generic issues of Indian economy. So if you want to write, you can write. If you want to take a picture, you can take a picture. Don't write all these points. Just write 5 points. You can expect cross questioning on these points. So only write those 5 points in which you have relatively more knowledge. So these are the major 5 problems of Indian economy. And how India can become a $5 trillion economy? Of course, by working on these 5 points only. Why India is facing recession or slowdown is because of these 5 points only. Yeah. Sorry. Domestic workers. Domestic workers means within the houses. That you have to tell me. You know, there is a criticism of the definition of employment in India, especially in the case of women. So when woman, I think means mein padha hoga, when woman works in the house for household activities, so according to the definition of GDP, they are not value adding anything because there is no money which is associated with it. But when somebody else who is working in your house at the capacity of a domestic help is counted under the calculation of the GDP. This was a major criticism. Also in the problems which we were discussing now, we can also mention infrastructure, both hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure, logistics. Then in soft infrastructure, we can have education, skill, health, sanitation, etc. and all. So whenever a question related to infrastructure comes, divided into two parts, hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure, plus urban infrastructure and rural infrastructure. Try to add rural dimension in the questions related to infrastructure. We are finished. Finish. Okay, then next we will go to the some basic facts. Again, although they don't give much focus to facts and figures, but still these facts are the basic facts which they expect from the candidate. For example, what is the value of the GDP right now? So what is the value? 2.8, approximately the 2.5 trillion dollar is the present value of the GDP, especially when it has been contracted by 7.7% or so. So let's start with the handouts. What is the value of GDP in India? So we have 2.5 trillion dollar approximately in nominal terms and 2.2 trillion dollar in the real term we have. Then we have the growth rate. So growth rate in 2019-20 was in positive. That was 4% and it is lowest in last 10 years. And then we have the GDP growth rate in 18-19 was 6.5%. And 2021, in 2021, what will be the GDP growth rate? Minus 7.5% something is there. So that is, so this is minus 7.7%, but in 21-22, what IMF, World Bank, Economic Survey, everybody is saying that it will again increase by 11%. That is why we are calling it as the V-shaped recovery. Then we have the sectoral growth rates, that within the sectors how we perform. So within the sectors, I think in the handouts also we have mentioned, but for example in the agriculture, forestry, etc. and all. So this PIB I think gave not very good images and all. So I think so the quality is not very good. So as we can see that the growth rate of agriculture and forestry has been really good. So in 17-18 it was almost 6%, 18-19 2.5%, 19-20 4%, and 2021 3.4%. So the impact of COVID has not been much in the agriculture or the primary sector we have. The next we have its impact upon the industrial growth rate and all. So in the industries, as we can see that in 2021 is going to decrease by almost 10%. Then we have within the services also, which is regarded as a backbone of Indian economy, because it was actually the agriculture was increasing at the rate of 3 or 4%. Manufacturing or industry was increasing at the rate of 4 or 5%. And services sector was increasing at the rate of 8 or 9%. Overall, India GDP was increasing at the rate of 6 or 7%. So from last so many years, service sector growth rate was more than the GDP growth rate of the country. But now we can see that it is going to increase by minus 8.8% will be there. The next we have is with respect to the fiscal deficit as the percentage of the GDP is there. Then we have the current account balance will be there. So now as we can see that we will be in surplus of 3%. Now they can ask a question whether this current account surplus is good or it is bad. I'm saying both. Now you have to tell me that why current account surplus is bad. So we can say that the import has declined because of decrease in the domestic demand. Next. Okay, and any other point? Import of raw materials has decreased, which will decrease the value addition. And when the value addition will decrease, India try to become a part of the global value chain. So now if raw material will decrease, so our becoming a part of the global value chain, our chances will further decline. So these 2-3 points are enough. And how it is good? Current account surplus, why it is good? And same. And simple, divided into 2 parts. When I asked you that why current account surplus is bad, you explained me something related to import. Now tell me something good related to exports. Nah? So our pharmaceutical has increased. India has again become the pharmaceutical hub of the world. Our software services has increased, etc. No? So these points we can mention. Also the diplomatic capital by exporting the pharma. So that is the intangible benefits that we have achieved. So all these points we can mention that why the current account surplus is good. We will discuss it in the through the handouts also. Then we have the inflation. So in the inflation you can see again there is a decoupling between WPI and CPI is there. Decoupling means one is increasing and the second one is decreasing. Coming back to the handouts, so we have in the primary sector we discussed, within the primary sector agriculture, forestry, industry we discussed, then the secondary sector we discussed and the tertiary sector we discussed. Then the global GDP ranking, India will be the 6th largest economy in 2020 in nominal terms. Then we have US is almost 25% of the world economy. So we have the world GDP is approximately $80 trillion. Out of which 25% is by USA alone. Only one country is contributing 25% of the world GDP. Don't expect direct questions from this. But suppose there is a question, India-USA relationship, USA-Russia relationship, USA-China issues, trade issues, etc. In which we can use these type of facts. That why USA is having an hegemony or it is still an economic power because 25% of the world GDP is produced by a single country. So when we are going to put our this thing, you are thinking about anything, we are going to substantiate it with the facts. So this is a good fact that 25% of the world GDP is by a single country, that is USA. Next we have is impact of COVID on the GDP. So we know in first quarter, second quarter and third quarter. In the first quarter of 1920, GDP contraction was by minus 25% के आसपास में. And this contraction was after, I think, 40 years. Last time it was in 1979. So after so many years, it has been contracted. The next quarter again, it has decreased. It was again minus. And finally, but in quarter 3, it has expanded by 0.4%. Then we have this we discussed again. The World Bank and the IMF, they have projected our growth rate will be 11.5%, which will be highest in the world. In 2021, China is the fastest, or China is the only big country which is in the positive side of the GDP growth rate, 2.5%. In 21-22, India will be the fastest growing country in the world with 11.5%. China will be 8% approximately. We have to rely only, no? It is not what the Chinese are saying, it is what the IMF or World Bank is saying. So what other option we have? Of course, we have to rely only. Also, we cannot tell these to the panelists that it is reliable or not reliable. They can ask this question, then we will reply. We will not start this conversation that this is reliable or this is not reliable. Then we have how much is the national income. We have some facts and figures. So we have 1.5 lakhs in constant term, 2 lakhs in the current terms we have. Then we have what is the value of the per capita income. So approximately 1 lakh. So we have 1 lakh is the per capita income of India. Then we have after which we have third largest economy by PPP. They can ask you some basic question. What is PPP? Previously also they have asked basic questions related to PPP. We have is, then we have a question that India is called big but poor. Now tell me why India is regarded as big but poor. Bolo bhai. High GDP but low per capita income. Okay, this is one. And inequality is there. Substantiate inequality. Sorry. Social gap. We are talking about economic gap. How many? Quantified, na? They need these basic figure, but at least we should know that 21% of the population is below poverty line, or 30% population. Rangarajan ne kaha, Tendulkar ne kaha. These are some basic facts. So we should know that 30% of our population is below poverty line. Yeah. Somebody else was saying. Top okay, and social sector indicators like, okay, what is, when we are bringing these indicators, na, then you should be aware about what is the present value. For example, if you are saying health etc and all, so you should have these facts. What is our health expenditure, percentage of GDP, what is, how many approximate number of doctors that we have is, was it sufficient during COVID, how we can improve it and all. So you should have these basic facts and figures in your mind. Then what we can do about it? I got your answer, but the supplementary question will be what we can do about it, what we should do about it. We already have, na, the government recently started it. बहुत घुमा के आंसर बता रहे हो, बहुत दिक्कत होगा. So we have to refine our thoughts actually. इसके लिए क्लास के बाद मेरे से मिल के जाना. We have to improve a lot about this. Anyways, anybody else? Big but poor dilemma. Anybody else? PPP नहीं बोला अब तक किसी ने. That in PPP we have the third largest. In the normal term also we have 6th largest, but in PPP we are the third largest GDP in the world and second largest population also. Anyways, these many points I think we should cover in this particular thing, along with third largest startup, fifth largest manufacturing, which if you can cram we can say, otherwise we can afford to skip it. Nahin, UBI the government is not accepted actually. So UBI, then it will be very difficult to justify ki why a money should get 10,000 rupees or 7,000 rupees at the cost of somebody who is not getting anything right now. So UBI right now India cannot afford. And none of the country across the world actually has implemented UBI because it might have some economic benefits, but socially it is very difficult to justify it. Why everybody should get 10,000 rupees every month? Moral hazards are there. A lot of moral hazards are there. इसके लिए फ्री में पैसा आएगा तो वेस्ट ही होगा. So a lot of issues are there. Anyways, then next question is what has been the contribution of various sectors to GDP and how it has changed since independence. This again is a very basic question which you can expect, that the present service sector is contributing 55%. At the time of independence, agriculture was contributing 55%. So it has changed, it has flipped. but the total number of employment in agriculture has not decreased substantially. At the time of independence, it was 80%. Now it is 45% के आसपास में. But you know, what is the share of agriculture in GDP now? This year it is going to be 20% approximately. So you can expect questions upon this, that the share of agriculture which is 20% after so many years. So in 1950s, agriculture was 55%, industry 25%, services 20%. Now we have as 17% last year till recently. Industry 30%, services 55%. But the share of agriculture in GDP will increase to 20% in 2021 for the first time in last 17-18 years. And it is the agriculture which has become a cushion against the shock of COVID-19 pandemic. Then the question I gave just, which activities or sectors must India focus on in the future? Now tell me that India should focus upon which all sectors. So for the online students, I'll take your doubt after 2 minutes. So you can write down your doubts and I'll take your doubts later on. Labor intensive, like textile and food processing and okay, and no, sunrise is a bigger term actually, which includes everything. So first you said is labor intensive and which all sectors, which all industries? Infrastructure is not an industry. The question is in which all industry India should focus upon in future. First is labor intensive and not capital intensive. Real estate and construction. Why so? It generates employment and now each and every question is having some keywords. Try to understand that keyword. So for example, when he said real estate and construction will have a keyword that is a multiplier effect. It means when we have the basic real estate or construction will benefit the other sectors as well. So real estate and construction because it is having a multiplier effect. And why not capital intensive? Why not high skilled wala sectors? But India aspires to become one of the largest economy in the world. Na? Jagat Guru banna hai, to how can we afford to not to participate in Internet of Things, fourth industrial revolution, etc. and all. So what we require is a balanced. Don't give one-sided answer. So we need to focus upon this thing, labor intensive sectors. Along with that, we should also focus upon these new age skill sectors. These new age skill sectors are Internet of Things, AI, ML, or we should say gig economy. I think in the class schedule we shared now is changed. So I'll try to finish all the classes by 22nd or 23rd. So pehle we'll finish all the classes. So we have next class is scheduled day after tomorrow. 9th ko hai, morning mein rakh lenge. And then 13th onwards I'm expecting daily class. 20 तक फिनिश कर देंगे काम करेंगे. I'll try my level best anyways. Yeah, you were saying something. India should focus means the government policy should focus upon this thing. The government finances should focus upon this thing. The private investment should be in these particular sectors. The skill set in which the labor force is coming and the skill set which the government is also providing should be towards this particular direction. So when I'm saying that suppose I have, the government is spending 35 lakh crores. So in which sectors or in which direction they should spend this particular money? So they should spend in labor intensive, plus they should also spend in the new skill industries we have. No, labor reforms is an indirect intervention by the government. Na? It is not a direct intervention by the government. No, but government provide PSUs, na? You know, out of the total organized sector we have, what is the share of government? We have both organized and unorganized sector. What is the share of government in organized sector? Any rough value? No, not in GDP. Try to understand the question. That whatever the organized sector we have in India, what is the share of government in the organized sector? Which company, I should say, it's not a company, but which institution is the largest employer? Government only. 90% of the employment in the organized sector is provided by the government only. So if government will not reform, then the whole organized sector cannot be reformed. 90. It's more than 90 also actually. 93% tha some few years back. But now it is 90%. You know what is the strength of these PSUs, big PSUs? 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, 1.5 lakhs. Railway alone is having, how many employees are there in railways? 30 lakhs. Defense sector. Majority of the organized sector is done by the government only. So unless and until the government reform themselves. You know, it was in news that manual scavenging wala tha, when it was in news. Who is involved in manual scavenging? Railways. Government actually. So government was the largest institution who was involved in the manual scavenger. So 90% of the employment in the organized sector is done by government only. So when you are saying labor force, government needs to reform. नहीं तो नहीं चलेगा, ठीक है? Anyways, for PLI पढ़ाऊंगा जब when we will cover PLI. Today we will cover PLI and then we will discuss. ठीक है? So this is finished. Then we have sorry. Schedule of our classes. It is out 26th. Good morning. So it's starting from 26th of this month till June of 18th. Good morning. You can search your date of interview now. Anyways, देखो starting में is good actually. In the initial days, they'll ask very simple questions. They'll give you good marks also. Understand, suppose if I'm sitting in a panel, so I also have to make an image with my fellow panelists, right? So I cannot ask the same question again. So initial days, they will ask simple question. But when it comes to later, then it becomes anything. Then they will start asking question. What do you mean by happiness? When was the last time you were happy? Anyways, what do you understand by what has been drawn in this particular, on this particular that we have? Lot of paintings are there. पता नहीं क्यों पेंटिंग रखते हैं अपने रूम में, एक तो मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आता. What do you understand by this painting? From psychology वाले aspirants के साथ तो they are asking lot of questions. Anyways, next we have is deficit statistics, fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, effective revenue deficit, and primary deficit. Don't cram these facts exactly, but at least you should know that it has increased to 9.5%. So we can say 9 to 10% approximately it has increased. So some basic facts I think we have to cram. Then the question comes, what is the present balance of payment position? So the present balance of payment position we have already discussed, that the current account deficit, now we have a current account surplus. Forex is highest, fifth largest in the world. Then remittances is $84 billion, but will decrease to $75 billion in 2020. FDI equity inflow has increased. So last year it was $45 billion, now it is $50 billion. So why it has increased? In which all sectors it has increased? हर चीज में फार्मा थोड़ी चलेगा. What you said, electronics is correct, and the digital sectors actually that we have is startups also it has increased. But yeah, so in the digital sector it has increased. But in comparison to India, tell me in the globe, in the world, whether FDI has increased or decreased? Decreased. Any rough value? It has decreased by 40%. But in India, it has increased, which is, and these are the facts and figures you have to speak when they will ask you that how can you say that stringent lockdown was good and why India is going for the V-shaped recovery. Because when we are going to justify that why that stringent lockdown was necessary, we'll discuss today. One of our major focus should be towards saving the lives, saving the future generation labor force, and then using them to get back to our high growth rate in a very fast way by V-shaped recovery. Then we have, what are the major economies with which India has a trade deficit? Again, this is a very common question which they have now started asking. That with which all countries we have trade deficit, with which all countries we have a trade surplus. Only three countries only. So we have trade deficit with obviously China, then Switzerland and Saudi Arabia. We have trade surplus with US, Bangladesh and Nepal. Then you can expect a cross question on this, that do you really think that India is having such a big economy, should have trade surplus with small neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, etc. And how can we improve it? In which we are going to cover in the international relations, that what all things we should do. Then we have India's top 5 export destinations. India's top 5 import sources are there. So these again facts that you have to cram. Then we have what is the debt position of the India currently. So we have a public debt of 75%, and then we have an external debt of almost same as our foreign exchange reserve, same 550, 570 or something. Public debt means government debt. Now the debt can be owned by the government, debt can be owned by the private sector also. When we borrow from outside the country is known as external debt. Can be borrowed by government, can be borrowed by outside private entities also. So whatever the external debt we have, 20% is by government and 80% is by the private sector. Then we have, so public debt में center भी आता है और state भी आता है. You must be remember NK Singh recommended we will decrease it to 60%, 40 center, 20 state. वो अभी nowadays it is 74%, including center and state we have. Center is having 49-50%. And 24% is by the state. So this includes both external as well as internal. But 99% of the government debt is internal. Only 1% is external that they have. 1 or 2%. Then we have it has increased because of the decrease in the GDP. Because it is a percentage of GDP, na? So earlier, suppose the GDP was 100 rupees and the government borrowed 65 rupees. Now GDP has decreased to 90. So now 65 is 70% of 90. This is also one of the reasons. Obviously, that is known as base effect. That is what the base effect is. Okay. Then we have what is India's savings and investment. Now you must be realizing that where are they actually going to ask these factual questions or not. Trust me, they are going to ask. Or you have to use these facts to substantiate your answers. Otherwise, then it becomes a very simple interview in which you are just giving generic statements. Ye hona chahiye, wo hona chahiye, ye nahi hona chahiye. So you have to substantiate your answers with some good facts. A well-informed aspirant is the one with which they want to interact, with which they want to communicate. Otherwise, it becomes a viva. They will ask a question, you will give the answer. So there is no conversation in that. And when it is not a conversation, you will not be able to attract attention for 30 minutes. And if you will bore them, they'll give you less marks. It's a very common sense. So it is your responsibility to attract or get their attention for 30 minutes, in which do whatever you have to do. If you have to joke in between, joke it. Candidates got 206 marks with 2 jokes. Anyways, yeah, Kumar Vivek actually used this. Anyways, next we have is, okay, you can revise it and then we'll go to the concepts. In the meantime, I will take doubts of the online students. Speak for 2 minutes on the Indian economy. Aditya will cover at the last. First, let's understand what is Indian economy. Yeah, good. Sorry to interrupt you. So, when we are saying that India is the third largest in PPP terms, but in per capita, even in PPP, we are at 120th position. In HDI also our ranking is very less. So in case they ask the question, just balance your answer with this. What we? Precious watches, etc. and all. Precious stones and all. Okay, finish. Okay. So let's start from the conceptual topics. Tell me the difference between recession and slowdown. Whether India is facing recession or India is facing slowdown. Now this is more conversation instead of the factual thing. Okay. Anybody else? But decrease in the pace of growth rate we have. And recession is, what he said is correct. For 2 or 3 consecutive quarters, there should be a negative growth rate should be there. So right now, India is facing both. India is facing recession also, because for 2 consecutive quarters, our growth rate was negative. And you are facing a slowdown also because our GDP now has become 0.4%. So right now, India is facing both. Then we have the negative instance was in last time in 1979. Then we have what are the reasons of the slowdown, or what are the different types of slowdown we have. So we can have a cyclical slowdown, we can have a structural slowdown. So what is the difference between cyclical and structural? India is facing which one, etc. and all. Okay. Yeah, correct. So the present slowdown which India is facing, or India was facing in 2019, how it was different from 2008? Same था क्या? Cheating कर लेते हैं चलो. So in 2008, what we faced was because of the supply side constraint. And right now in 2019, the slowdown was because of the demand side constraint. And how it was a demand side constraint was because both the rural demand as well as the urban demand has declined, especially the rural wages has decreased. How the rural wages were decreased? Because of MG Nareka etc. and all that we will see. Then in 2008, there was very high inflation situation. You know, not 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. Very high inflation was there. In 2019, there was low inflation was there. You know, we have an agreement signed between RBI and Government of India known as inflation targeting. Monetary policy agreement was signed in which the target of RBI was to keep inflation within a range of 4 plus minus 2%. That is within 2 to 6% range. The first breach was not more than 6%, but the first breach was less than 2%, which the RBI failed. And that was the time of 2018 and 19 we have. Then the next difference is in 2008, there was a twin deficit crisis was there. And in 2019, we have a triple balance sheet problem. Yeah, in the last economic survey, they have come up with a triple balance sheet problem. What is this triple balance sheet? One step more than the twin balance sheet. So what is triple? What is the third one? NBFCs is there. And what is the four balance sheet problem? Arvind Subramaniam came up with the concept. Yeah, the real estate and construction sector is there. So usually what happens is banks borrow from the general public and then they lend to the industries. So the problem is banks give lending for the short duration. And these industries or infrastructure, they were requiring these funds for longer duration. So banks put one intermediate in between, that is known as NBFC. Now these NBFC also faced problem after the IL&FS crisis. So banks even stopped lending to NBFC. This is known as triple balance sheet problem. Industries, NBFCs and the banks as well. Within the industries also there were major concentrated problems in these two sectors, that is real estate and construction. So Chief Economic Advisor came up with this new concept that is known as four balance sheet problem was there in case they ask. Then the next difference was it was focusing upon the corporate and banks and it is focusing upon the households as well. Why 2019 was focusing upon households? Because the wages were not increasing. Wage increase nahi hoga to savings increase nahi hogi. Savings increase nahi hoga to demand will decrease, and when the demand will decrease, will slow down the economy. Because that was the collapse of Lehman Brothers and all these things that led to the banking sector collapse. And banking sector was lending to the corporates. And corporates were, don't use these terminologies, but corporates were over leveraged. Over leveraged means they borrowed a lot. So they suddenly started sacking people. No. The problem started in 2005. The housing bubble burst started in 2005. So we started facing the heat in 2005. It was not us, the employees, they were not facing it. But the profit margins of the corporate started decreasing in 2005-6 only. So if you are a pass out of during that particular time, you will see that 2007 A batch pass out, 8 batch pass out. The corporates were hiring the people, but not giving them the appointment letter. So they started facing the heat, but it was not trickled down to the market actually. Decrease in the wages rate, this point, right? This is decrease in the wage rate because corporates were not in profit. So when there was no profit, they will not increase the wages. When they will not increase the wages, the demand will not be there. So when the demand is not there, which was the reason of 2019? In 2008, it was our corporate side. In 2019, it was because of the decrease in the demand. Why demand was not increased? We have some facts and figures. So when we will discuss now, we will see that in comparison to 2003-4, when the rural wages were increasing at the rate of 23-24%, in 2018-19, the wages were increasing at the rate of 3%, 4%. So if we will go to these handouts that we will discuss, point number 19, I think so. What are the causes of decline in rural and urban and rural wage growth? Demonetization was a very good step. It was a very major initiative taken by the government to do away with, to curb corruption and Naxalism and counterfeit currencies and etc. It was a very good. Don't behave like Ravish Kumar. Now we will say there were teething issues of demonetization, but long-term demonetization was good. You can take a negative stand, but not my suggestion. You can take a stand, but not suggested right now. Matlab. Anyways, so yeah, we have point number 19, I think so, in which we gave the data that why it was the rural wages were decreased and why the urban wages were decreased. So we have the rural wage declined from 28% in 13-14 to less than 5% in 2019, while the corporate wages declined from 20% to single digit in 2019. We have. Anyways, coming back to the slowdown we discussed, 13, 14, 15, 16 we are discussing. So the recession we discussed, slowdown we discussed, cyclical slowdown we discussed, and the structural slowdown we discussed. Then the question comes ki what are the cyclical factors we have, what are the structural factors we have, and how the aggravating impact of So this was the question, actually the causes of the economic slowdown. Also, yeah, one more suggestion I want to give, that in at least when you have the option that you are going to speak for approximately 30 seconds or so, there are very high chances that you are going to lose the attention of the panelist. So at the initial point only, try to summarize your points. That for example, if I ask you that why do you think that there is an economic slowdown in the Indian economy? So at the start only you should say that the slowdown is because of three major reasons. It is from the demand side, it is from the supply side, it is also from the global uncertainties. And then try to explain that why it is from the demand side, why it is from the its side. Because there are again very high chances that they will stop you in between. So suppose if you are not giving headings and you directly started saying that it is because of demand side and you started explaining 1, 2, 3 points of the demand side. The problem is if they will stop you in between, they will get an impression that your knowledge is only half and you are only aware about the demand side. So in these open-ended questions, I used to call them open-ended questions, in which you have the option to speak for more than 30 seconds. They are regarded as open-ended questions. So in these you will not find many opportunities. Hardly 3 or 4 questions you will get. So in such open-ended questions, try to summarize your answer at the initial point only. That if they ask you that how India can become a $5 trillion economy, sir, there are 5, according to me, there are 4 or 5 ways through which India can become a $5 trillion economy. So they are going to wait for your 4th point or for the 5th point as well. So in such open-ended questions, try to give some summary of your answer at the first statement should be there. So in this particular question, what are the causes of the economic slowdown? Some structural reasons are there, some cyclical factors are there, and some global uncertainties are there. And then we have mentioned all these points in the handouts. Only three points you can cram. Those 3 points in which you have good knowledge. So I think you can read it. And then again we will go for the 5 major issues and point number 18. So I think you can read till point number 17. So please revise till point number 17, then we'll go to point number 18. फिनिश पढ़ ले बेटा, पढ़ ले, ये काम आने वाला है 100%. तू पढ़ चाहे मत पढ़, इंटरव्यू देना पड़ेगा. एंड इफ यू आर थिंकिंग कि बहुत लेट होगा, ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है. आई एम टेलिंग यू, मेंस की नॉलेज नहीं चलेगी. यू हैव टू कट शॉर्ट योर नॉलेज अकॉर्डिंग टू द डिमांड. फर्स्ट इंटरव्यू है क्या? से पहले भी दिया? हाउ मेनी इंटरव्यूज? थर्टी मोर सेकेंड्स. Okay, I think let's start. So one of the online student asked the question that the global FDI is declining, then why India is preferred investment destination? Green shoots that V-shaped recovery that we have, and one of the largest markets, and yeah, it's a major point actually, and reputation, anti-China post-COVID anti-China sentiments we have, and rule out of Mexico. Acha, roll out of the vaccine and all. Not a very substantial point, but sorry. Corporate tax rate is more favorable, etc. These are the 4-5 points, Ravinder, because of which that India has been preferred over other countries. But again, China is still preferred. It has declined, but again, it is preferred destination. Yeah. Ease of doing business. Very much. On what? Bilateral relations. No, majority of the investment is not done by the government. It is done by the private sector, and private sector comes only because of the profit motives. So it is having some impact, but less impact on the private sector. So it will improve, of course. It will not have a negative relationship, but good bilateral investment is not enough to attract the private sector. So we can say it is a prerequisite. Next comes the open-ended questions. What according to you are the 5 major issues faced by Indian economy in the current scenario? Now you have to give me the answer without cheating. What according to you are the 5 major issues faced by the Indian economy presently? Unemployment. Then it should be less employment. थोड़ी बहुत तो जॉब बची है, उसको भी हटा दे. Anyways, unemployment. Okay, anything else? That will be a part of this unemployment and less employment and all. Financial sector. We can say financial sector, including banks, including NBFC, etc. and all. This can be the first point. Next, second. No. We are not nowhere close to liquidity trap. Liquidity trap is a situation in which the monetary policy fails actually. Then we can say it is a kind of the liquidity trap. No. Next point. That cannot be the second point. In interview, your 5 points should be the most important points. So investment and savings can be 4th, 5th point, not the second one. We can say infrastructure bottlenecks. That can be the second point. Or infrastructure bottlenecks and high logistic cost. We can merge these 2 points and that can be the second one. Third. No. Fiscal deficit per se is not a problem. Agriculture, manufacturing and service सबको merge कर देंगे. That can be one of the other problems. Next. If you will have a skilled labor force, then the unemployment rate decreases. But that is not always the case. So, But that is not always the case. Nah? In India, this happened. We have highest unemployment at the postgraduate level. So if you are more educated, if you have more skill, then there are chances that the unemployment rate will be very high, because less number of people will be there at that level. So that's not always the case, especially in India. ऐसा नहीं है. Next, when I'm saying 5 major problems faced by Indian economy, try to add some socio-economic problem. So at least something related to women, something related to the lower strata, something related to poverty, something related to rural India, something related to agriculture. Try to add 1 or 2 points from these sections also in whatever questions that we have. Not the typical economic problems, but some socio-economic problems also. Inclusion, yeah, this can be a good point. That non-inclusive growth model, that can be one of the point. And sustainability, yeah. Although we are talking about India will get a V-shape, but what after V-shape? After V-shape, what we need is sustained growth. And how we will have sustained growth? A and BA 1, 2, 3 has not mentioned it. So what all new future reforms that we require for sustained growth rate, वो मैं discuss करूँगा इसमें. कि what is the future of A and B? That is what the sustained growth rate is about. Cutting edge technology cannot be the 5 major problems. They'll start asking questions, what is quantum physics? That is what the cutting edge technology. Na? They gave 8,000 crore rupees for the quantum physics. So we'll not use cutting edge technology on a point. Anyways, so I listed down some 7-8 points. Usme se only 4 or 5 you can choose depending upon how much knowledge that you have. Then this, I think we already discussed, what are the causes of decline in the urban and the rural wage growth rate. Then we have, is India facing an investment slowdown, and how it is so peculiar or how it is so unique. That I think you can read. That usually what happens is that the investment growth rate increased by 9% in just 4 years. 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in these 4 years, it has increased by 9%, and now it has decreased. So it has been gradual in nature. It has not decreased with the same pace that it has increased. So it has decreased in a slower way. And then second is, it has been merged with the twin balance sheets. So these are some peculiar points of India's investment slowdown. We listed it down. We just have to read it once. Then what are the causes of declining investment in India? Ab batao. What are the causes of declining investment in India? And how to give structure to such questions. And I got your point. You don't have to explain the first point in some 4 or 5 lines so that they will lose the interest and they will not ask what is the second point. No. How you will be able to, give structure to such questions. That who all is responsible for NPA? Who all is responsible for failure of NBFC? What according to you are the reasons of failure of investment? So how to structure such questions? जो मेंस में करते थे ना stakeholder based approach, same लगाएंगे यहाँ पे. We are going to use the stakeholder based approach for this question also, and all these questions in which we may find difficulty in giving a structure to the answer. So what all are the stakeholders in investment? Who all are stakeholders? Government is a stakeholder providing good ecosystem, good environment, so that animal spirits will come, investment will increase, foreign FDI will come, etc. So government is one stakeholder. So we'll say something about government first. Second, corporates crowd in the private sector, how to increase private investment can be the second point, including foreign investment. Third, financial market, financial institutions, we can say who will land and then the private sector will invest. Next, households, why the savings karega, they're going to increase the demand. So these can be the 4 or 5 points. So whenever you face difficulty in structuring your answer, in the mind, go for stakeholder based approach and then give the reply. Don't just start giving the reply and without even giving a structure to the answer. So whenever in the mock you are going to practice, adopt the stakeholder based approach. Will help you out in making your answer more structured. Okay. So what are the causes of declining investment? Now it becomes very simple. All of us know the answers and all. So just go through this particular thing. And next we have is India facing a saving slowdown? So yes. Then what? Then the question comes, what is more important for an economy, savings or investment? Now don't take hostage of economic survey. Usually students have a tendency to say, sir, investment is more important, as economic survey has also said. Of course, economic survey said. But again, they are more interested in your personality. They don't want what economic survey is saying. So don't take the help of any other such sources unless and until it is Supreme Court or something like that in the social issues or something. And you are going to take some extraordinary stand. In such cases, you can take the help of these constitutional bodies. Otherwise, taking help of some committee, commission, second ARC has said it, etc. and all, it is not what they are interested in. They are more interested in what you think. Okay? So, although economic survey said that investment is more relevant, so we'll start from both are relevant, but investment is a prerequisite actually. So, we will say that both are relevant, but investment is the prime growth driver and is crucial to achieve our $5 trillion economy. And also remember that every time don't give a diplomatic answer. That if they ask you whether this is important or the other thing is important, for each and every answer don't say both are important. For at least one or two questions, take a stand, especially in case of these non-social questions. So for example, in this particular question, suppose they ask you savings or investment. So we'll start from both, but we'll justify that why investment is more important than savings. In social problems or something, or in case of the ethical questions or something, don't take a stand ki only this is required, this is not required. So suppose they ask you a question, what according to you are the 3 most important values of a bureaucrat? So there are chances that you will say something different. And there are chances that according to them, the value should be different. So when they will correct you, that don't you think that perseverance should be also, honesty should be also. So you can say that, yes, ma'am or sir, we agree that this is more important, but according to me, these 3 values are important. So in such cases, sometimes you have to take a stand. Then the otherwise non-stand, if you will take, now you will get 170 or so. So if you have to increase from 170, 180 to 200 ke aaspaas mein, then at least in 1 or 2 questions, you have to take a stand. Then we have what can be done to boost savings and investment. Savings, again stakeholder based approach in savings. Then we have an investment, again we'll take the stakeholder based approach. Then we have, can you suggest a solution to enable the Indian economy? We know the 5 problems. We know the 5 solutions as well. So choose good answers in such questions. Just a layman terms terminology will not help you out. Then we have, can you list some recent measures undertaken by the government? So yeah, economic survey has listed down. Just use all these measures taken by RBI, measures taken by government, measures for MSME, etc. and all. So the more you can cram is good, but don't cram more than 5 points. Any 5 measures is enough. So we gave you all these Atmanirbhar Bharat packages, sector specifics. And I think on the next page you have it, right? Hai kya? Nahi hai? Okay, they only listed it down actually. Then we have 27, I think. So the government has said that India is witnessing a V-shaped recovery. What do you understand by a V-shaped recovery? Means sharp decline and sharp, strong recovery that we have is. Now comes the question. Read the question. Do you think that government of India decision for a nationwide lockdown was wise? It dealt a severe blow to Indian economic growth rate and took away livelihoods of millions. So now you have to give me the reasons that why government of India decision for a nationwide lockdown was a good decision. Bolo bhai. Don't start with the technical jargons. So we'll start from the simple terms. मोदी जी से सीखेंगे अपन ना, क्या है उसका, जान है तो जहान है. So we implemented जान भी है और जहान भी है. Anyways, give me the reasons that why that stringent lockdown was good for the economy. Personally, you can say it was not good. That is your call. My suggestion is that you have to support it. That nationwide lockdown was necessary. Still also, now also when the second wave is coming. So we have to go for the lockdown. We have to accept that our healthcare infrastructure cannot sustain. Otherwise, our total number of death will be equivalent. So we can substantiate it. Yeah. So these are the total number of COVID cases. So we know world over में कितना है, USA में कितना है, India में कितना है. So in the total number of cases, we are the third largest. कितना हुआ total? 1,26,00,000, 1.25 CR. And then you can go for the percentage terms, okay? This is the total number of death. So what in the percentage terms? निकलेगा क्या? For example, in USA it is 5.5 lakhs, 5.7 lakhs death. In Brazil it is 3.3. In Mexico it is 2. In India it is only 1.65 lakhs. Then we have, these are the number of cases that we have. So try to convert this thing into some percentage terms and we can justify it. Anyways, coming back to my question. Support the stringent nationwide lockdown. Give me some points. Sorry? Okay. Or to flattening the curve actually. Okay. Getting more time to create an ecosystem or the local domestic capacity for the health infrastructure which was required. Anyways, and economic recovery is possible, but once the life is gone, it cannot come back. Also, this lives which we have saved will be the future labor force, skilled labor force, etc. And it is mentioned in the handout. Some other points I'll dictate. And all of you think that the stringent lockdown was not required, yeah? Or do you think that it was required? It allowed to open us earlier and to shut again. I just failed to, not for your this thing interview, but how can a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. lockdown or curfew can save it? I just don't know. So when the politicians at the highest level, they are sharing the information in their this thing, social and all, where they are saying these many people came in our this political rally and all, then where the awareness goes. So you can expect such questions, okay? This is not, I'm just not saying. You can expect such questions that how can you justify that on the one side in the states in which there are a lot of elections, nobody is taking care of all these things, and on the other side the government is charging a lot of fines and crores and so from the general public, in which the number of COVID cases are less. So how we are going to balance it? Such questions you can expect. Individual to individual, you can say that night curfew is not efficient, but otherwise if we will not start actually restricting people's movement, then it will ultimately lead to total lockdown. So right now at present what they are doing is at least they are just trying to stop up to a certain extent. If we fail at this level, then there will be 100% full-fledged lockdown will be there, because India cannot afford deaths in lakhs. Some other country might, they can afford it. India cannot afford, because such huge dense population that we have is, once it will come into the normal community transmission and it will increase, then there will be an exponential rise. Anyways, tell me any other point why the stringent lockdown was necessary? You have to give a convincing answer. Forget about these normal points which you are listing. If you are supporting, should be reflected, a confident answer should be reflected by you. Otherwise, so it becomes a problem. Then you will fall in trap of that, 100%. So you have to be confident that why that stringent lockdown was required. So be confident. Anyways, first we will see in the handouts, then I'll give you some dictation of one or two points. So the decision to initiate a nationwide lockdown was mature and foresighted. Then we have, it was a win-win strategy with twofold objectives, like saving the human lives in short term and preserve the livelihood by economic recovery in the medium to long term through various government initiatives like Atmanirbhar Bharat plus structural reforms in the key sectors. Next is the decision was based upon the humane principle that GDP growth will come back, but human lives once lost will not come back. Also, these human lives saved today will be the productive forces of future. And the last one is visible results of government approach like gradually unlocking and easing of the economic activity, thereby enabling a V-shaped recovery. And now India is reaping the lockdown dividend. Then लिख लो कुछ keywords. जन है तो जहान है. The objective of lockdown was जन है तो जहान है. The Honorable Prime Minister has said. Plus breaking the chain of spread. Breaking the chain of spread. Plus providing valuable time to ramp up the health and testing infrastructure. So you can give one fact of PPE kit, production of PPE kit. Before COVID, 0. Now we are producing in lakhs per day. And then in the economic survey, they have mentioned some 5T strategy, the strategy which we followed. Don't use it on your own. In case they ask you, then you can write what is the 5Ts that we have is. So first T is test, track, trace, treat, test, track, trace, treat, and technology. The next is what are the indicators that one can look at the gauge of V-shaped recovery. So visible green shots. Isko you have to cram. Now these facts we are going to use actually to justify that why the stringent lockdown was necessary, because now we have a V-shaped recovery. First, GDP is in positive territory. Our exports, merchandise exports have reached to the pre-COVID level. Imports after contracting for 9 consecutive months, now it is positive in December. Improved flow of FDI and FII, we have seen $50 billion. Foreign exchange reserves are at the all-time high. So out of this $580 billion, $100 billion came in just 8 months during COVID. Next is, now we have a gross GST collection. So kitna chal raha collection GST ka? 1.23 lakhs in the March. So in March, our GST collection was 1.23 lakhs. In the month of February, it was 1.13 lakhs. In the month of January, it was 1.19 lakhs. So now we have an average of more than 1.15 lakhs, which shows that now we have a V-shaped recovery. So last 5 consecutive months, we have more than 1 lakh collections. We can see right from October. So October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March. Then we have the PMI has also expanded. And then we have the other indicators. So if you have some facts and figures, you can write. E-way bill has increased, cargo traffic, passenger vehicles, etc. No. So just remember any 5 facts which show that there has been a visible green shoots. Then we have what are the factors for driving the V-shaped recovery? Stakeholder. So some of the points are demand side, then we have supply side, then we have the vaccination. So this is the V-shaped recovery we have. Then we have, do you think that V-shaped recovery is sufficient for macroeconomic revival? So V-shaped recovery is the prerequisite. But tell me how we can go for sustained growth. How we can go for sustained growth? लिख लो सीधा सीधा. So first लिखो investment in sustainable infrastructure. नीचे लिखना 4-5 लाइन्स है. ओके. So investment in sustainable infrastructure like healthcare, skill development, clean energy, public transport. Clean energy, public transport. Second point is land reforms. Third point, encourage long-term changes in behavior. Encourage long-term changes in behavior. This is also the answer that Atmanirbhar Bharat, etc. and all. Future पे इंडिया को किस में फोकस करना है? So encouraging long-term change in behavior like widening of tax base, circular economy, and climate friendly development. Climate friendly development. Next, building the resilience for the vulnerable section, or create resilience for the vulnerable section through primary health care, access to clean water, clean air, and then you can add your 2 or 3 points. And the last point is regulating enabling technologies. Regulating enabling technologies like social media, data privacy, e-commerce, etc. Yeah, Aditya, correct. From जान है तो जहान है to जान भी है जहान भी है. Anyway, so these are some of the sustainable growth rate के parameters that the V-shaped recovery is sufficient. So no, what we require is sustained growth rate. How we can get sustained growth rate? By these 3 or 4 points. This is also the way forward of Atmanirbhar Bharat. In case they ask whether Atmanirbhar Bharat is enough, so it is good, but it is only focusing upon 3 or 4 things when we cover it. So Atmanirbhar Bharat is covering only these 5 things. The acronym is SIDED, that we need to focus upon system, technology driven. S, then I is for infrastructure, that represents 21st century or the modern India. Then the demography, then economy, and the demand is there. So this is only focusing upon these 5 things and land, labor, liquidity, and the laws. But if we are focusing upon the future, then we require the sustained growth rate. Then the question comes that the Prime Minister of India has laid down the target of making India a $5 trillion economy by 24-25. हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता है, etc. and all. Tell me whether it is feasible or it is like over ambitious we are. We cannot start our answer with it. Anything is possible. So we will say that it is ambitious, but we can achieve it, especially when we are recovering at such a faster rate. So whatever the government targets are, so we will not be skeptical if you become a bureaucrat and you know this program will not be successful. So can you actually tell your boss that no boss, ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा, नहीं होगा ना, whatever orders are orders, you have to implement it. So that cannot be a bureaucratic behavior. So we are going to say कि yeah, this is ambitious target, but yeah, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 it is achievable. This one, yeah. How can we become a $5 trillion economy is because we have some domestic strength. 4 Ds of Modi Sahab, that is demography, demand, democracy, and diversity is there. Plus, India is a mixed economy. So by both government investment and private investment. Next we have is government intervention is required. How? By decreasing the extractive economic institutions. If you want to use it, you can use it. Otherwise, regulatory cholesterol, if you have seen, etc. and all. Then we have simplified legal laws, regulatory, taxation structure, etc. and all. Plus, policy certainty is what we require. And the last one is for the external opportunities. India becoming a part of global value chain, GVC, diversifying our exports, diversifying our trade, investment, etc. and all. So both product diversification and market diversification. But don't be skeptical upon the major government targets. Even if they ask you that in the skill development they gave a target of that we will provide skill to 50 crore people. Achievable hai? Achievable hai. But we have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the handouts will be shared with you now before the class. So I'll try to share all the handouts by 15 or 16, and we'll try to finish up the class by 21, 22 maximum. In the handouts, question number 34. What do you think would be the most critical step to attain a $5 trillion economy? So what we have explained, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then focus upon the winnable business sectors or segments. That is some special sectors, that pharma, space, IT, etc. and all, because they have the multiplier effect. So by adding these many points, the bottom line is that we will not say no. 5 trillion is not achievable. Only we have to change the answer, that if we will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we can achieve it. Then we have some questions with respect to Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think you can go through these questions. They are simple questions only. In case this is what A and B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, different packages that they have is and all. But yeah, everything that we have is simple. I just have to dictate 1 or 2 points in these questions. So what are the major demand driven or supply driven initiatives under Atmanirbhar Bharat? Any 4, 5 initiatives? Any 5 initiatives under Atmanirbhar Bharat? Okay, Garib Kalyan Yojana is there, and not only the new one, even the existing one, if the outlay has increased, you can tell. Emergency credit guarantee and PLI is there, and basic one, MSME, and in legislations, which is supply side, we can say, but yeah, and MG Narega, the basic, let's start from the basic one. Then we'll go to the technical one, because if you will say PLI, they'll ask questions from PLI. So we'll start from the basic one. 1, 2, 3, 4. लिख लो जैसे MG Narega budget increased, Atmanirbhar Rozgar Yojana, and to the organized sector or the government officials, any initiative? PPF contribution by the government 50%, and कुछ किया गया, LTC voucher etc. and all, कुछ लिख लो. LTC voucher scheme, festive advance scheme. I think that's enough for general state wala topic. So we'll meet day after tomorrow in the morning. I think 11 o'clock I'll take the class. So I'll try to cover budget and one more topic. And then maybe from 12th evening or 13th, in the first class I'll cover economic survey, and then the remaining 4 sessions of economics and 4 sessions of IR. Because the significance will be like this: most important economics, then international relations, then social issues will be taken by Divya ma'am. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, what you guys have planned for mocks? Start कर दिया, करोगे? कर दिया? How was it? First mock is usually bad. So always with everybody, it is like bad only. It happens. For that only, again, one more my suggestion is, at least you should speak for 1 hour with mobile, with mirror, or with anybody in a group mock kind of thing or anywhere. But at least speak logically for 1 hour. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to communicate in a logical way. there are candidates who have done their graduation and post graduation in chemistry fail to give the definition of pH. It happens. That's a very common thing. होता है वो सबके साथ होता है. So how we can decrease it by mirror reading and all these things. So try to communicate with your friends in a group mock or something for at least 1 hour. That will resolve it. Anyways, anybody else who has given a mock or planning to give a mock? 12th and 9th and try to give the first mock ASAP. उसमें थोड़ा बेइज्जती होगा, थोड़ा फीलिंग आएगा, 100% आएगा, but it happens with everybody. अभी तुम्हारा तो फिर भी ठीक है. I receive calls फर्स्ट मॉक के बाद रोते हुए, लिटरली रोते हुए, मतलब कि सर बर्बाद हो गए, कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Because usually in mock initial days में they used to ask some factual questions. Final exam में भी पूछता है, but students face difficulty in cramming facts. But some of the basic facts that you have to cram. ठीक है? So give the first mock. Don't lose hope in the first mock. It happens with everybody. They'll give a common feedback. Current affairs नहीं आता है, and statics अपने revise कर लो. The feedback remains the same. Irrespective of your performance, the feedback will be same only. So for the first mock and the second mock, acceptable. But if the feedback continues for the fourth mock and fifth mock, then it is a problem. First and second में चल जाएगा. But try to give your first mock ASAP. ठीक है? ठीक है, फिर परसों मिलते हैं बच्चा लोग 11 बजे. थैंक्स आदित्य. गरीब कल्याण योजना, आउटले हेल्थ एक्सपेंडिचर. हाँ सही है यार, गुड गुड.